I'd like to invite on stage Srikanth Chunduri, who handles the partnership at EkStep Foundation. He's a part of the EkStep team, a not-for-profit in primary education space started by Nandan Nilekani and his team at Aadhaar. He also advises governments in creating startup ecosystems. He has done a consumer e-commerce startup as well as an enterprise CRM startup. I welcome Srikanth to take the session forward.
Thank you, Anu. Good afternoon, everyone. So the famous science fiction writer William Gibson once said, "The future is already here. It's unevenly distributed." Like that quote is so apt for the fintech ecosystem in India. And in this conference room, it's pretty evenly distributed, right? So through the day, we have seen 50,000 feet view of fintech ecosystems, startups, VCs talking about startups, but it'll be kind of fun to switch gears and actually hear from the startups in the trenches. What are the opportunities and challenges they face? As Nandan Nilekani says, in regard to the fintech ecosystem in India, India is witnessing what we call as a WhatsApp moment, right? There's a sudden explosive growth, and we are actually witnessing that even if we quite don't recognize that yet, right? So today, I'm going to call on 4 startups on stage. An important point to note about these startups is they're pretty ambitious, they're in the trenches, that's a given. Most of them actually don't have a banking experience, and that's something to think about, right? Most of them are outsiders. They're just looking at the consumer, just like how you and I would look. They have no prior banking experience in that sense. So that's what makes it so much more interesting, that they're able to create disruptive products, which some of the banks are probably not creating. So I invite Kumar from ToneTag, Karthik and Amar from ScienceZ, Jeeta from Tukitaki, and Rochan and Suresh from MoneySmart to kind of come on stage. So this is so that you get a good look at the face of disruption in India, right? However, the first startup that will be presenting would be a ToneTag led by Kumar. Kumar. Someone else representing? He's busy disrupting somewhere else. Okay, then we'll move on to Karthik and Amar with ScienceZ. So you can, you have to skip past, yeah. So you have 5 minutes, 6 minutes. At 5, I'll become this annoying timekeeper who'll show you this 1 minute up, right? So.
It's always tough to speak before the lunch session, right? Everybody is kind of
You can use the mic over here. It's much better.
all right. So it's always tough to speak before the lunch session because everybody is quite tired and everybody is hungry and they want to go out. So I'm going to keep it really simple. The other reason is that so I'm actually an investor into ScienceZ and I just saw this like half an hour ago, right? So essentially, but I've been working with the team for over a year and they've seen tremendous progress. The founder is right now in Bombay closing deals with
sorry for the interrupt. You have to move to ScienceZ presentation, I think.
All right, so how do I do that? So we've seen a tremendous interest. So ScienceZ operates in the space which is popularly known as blockchain, right? And we believe that, I hope everybody has heard of blockchain, right? So essentially, we strongly believe that blockchain will change the way banking happens and transactions happen, whether it's stock market transaction or banking transaction, similar to the way maybe how digital photography made the normal photography obsolete, or say MP3 players made the cassette players obsolete, right? Now the challenge within the ecosystem when we talk about financial services is that it's highly regulatorily driven, right? So what we are trying to understand is how do you use the technology and how do you marry it with the regulatory challenges that exist in India, right? So I'm just going to briefly take you through the presentation, keep it very simple, and hopefully if you have any queries post everybody presenting it, more than happy to take them. So what we've created so when we look at the blockchain part of it, it's still early days on how banks are going to look at blockchain, right? But what we need is the supporting infrastructure which will enable banks to adopt blockchain as and when things get clear in terms of how it's going to be used in the banking transaction. There are a couple of things that are essential from an Indian regulatory standpoint. One is this three-letter word called KYC. Essentially, any account that you want to open, you have to go through a KYC process, which is a tremendously boring process for the bank as well as the consumer. The question is, how do you make KYC digital, right? And how do you make it as easy as clicking a selfie or something of that sort for your clients, right? Oops, sorry. So one of the key things that we are trying to solve is look at how to make KYC really simple. The other thing which we think is how do you create trust within the system, right? So the other product that we have is mostly on digital contracting, about which I'll be talking about. So this is the current consumer pain point, which is filling long forms. It takes a lot of time. The entire approval process takes a lot of time and things like that. So what we do is it's as simple as clicking your selfie and kind of uploading it to the bank's website. So we have a very API-driven model where bank software can kind of clearly do API calls and verify customer information and things like that. We've kind of built a lot of data sets through publicly available data which can help you understand the consumer in a better manner, right? So one thing is for the banks, what we also do is that we work with a lot of other fintech startups which are targeting the B2B space, and we help them with the merchant onboarding solution, right? So essentially, if you are a merchant trying to sell or get a loan or whatever it is, we would help you smoothen the entire process and make it really simple for your merchants to come on board, right? We believe that, the attention span of the consumer is going down. Everybody wants their loan as fast as possible and things like that. So one of the key things that we are trying to do is to make it really simple and make it really relevant for the digital community that we have today. So the other thing that we do is, so once you kind of figure out the customer, the other part of it is to basically get into contractual relationship with the customer, right? And how do you make it paperless and seamless, basically, right? So what we have is that we have a digital contracting solution with Aadhaar and biometric signatures. And the best part is that all this has been kind of approved by the regulator, in the sense that ScienceZ participated in a competition organized by RBI, where a lot of larger companies also participated, and a lot of banks as well participated, and they came first in that, right? So RBI has looked at it, they've given the go-ahead for this, and basically it's kind of regulatorily approved. So the other solution that we have is a secured contracting solution. So essentially you can bring your customers on board, and basically you can get into contracts and business relationship with your customers without having a lot of those old-fashioned paper documentation, right? So this is kind of our current API and the future roadmap, basically. I mean, in terms of looking at financial history, we believe that in the future, what's going to happen is that each individual will have their own specified product, right? It's a very customized product that the financial services companies will be offering to their customers, and we are working with a lot of these online kind of personal loan companies where we get a lot of data and basically try to figure out what is the best product for them and things of that sort, right? And making it really simple. So I'm going to just, so this is some of the technology that empowers a solution is obviously artificial intelligence. We're working with a lot of data sets, and we're primarily getting a lot of consumer data as well with our partners and things like that. We're trying to figure out what's the best way to kind of tackle the problem. Cryptography, I mean, we need to, one thing that people have realized that digital business comes with its own risk of hacking and loss of privacy and loss of identity theft and things like that. I'll not get into that, but recently there's been a lot of issues with some banks in terms of what's happened with their debit cards and all that, right? So we treat this very seriously, because at the end of the day, financial services industry works on the basis of trust between the entity and the consumer, right? So highly secure kind of architecture where all the information is stored securely. And then you have the big data optimization, because we're kind of working with billions of data points. How do you make it accessible, the interface seamless, and things like that, right?
Hey, you just have 1 more minute.
All right. So we're using cryptography to build an auditable, secure KYC infrastructure. It's auditable. Everything is tracked. Immutability, that's one of the key things about the blockchain as well, in terms of you could kind of refer to it at a later point of time in terms of what are the transactions being done. So if there is a fraud, you can easily detect the fraud, right? Because there is that transaction on that blockchain. So we have some great advisors, Arun, Nilima, and Harish, who have tons of experience in the industry. We have partners with our different companies as well. So this is a founding team of Ankit, Ankur, and Arpit. We won various awards, and we're getting a lot of interest from the customers, right? Very happy to talk to anybody who wants to use our solution, right? So we're going to be just outside, happy to talk about it. Yep, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Karthik and Amar. Next up, we have Kumar from ToneTag.
Hi, I'm Kumar from ToneTag. So before I go through the decks, I think what's important for me is to just tell you what exactly this word means, right? So what we are doing is we are a software which can sit into any banking app or wallet or any application which is out there on the mobile phone. At the same time, we could actually be a part of any merchant application which you see out there, right? Any, which means even your card swiping machine, right? And then what we do is we can bring your phone and we can enable a contactless payments, right? So 100% of the consumers, whether they're on a feature phone or a smartphone, right, can experience an Apple Pay kind of payment usage, right? On a merchant, which is your normal kirana wala, your paper wala, or even high-end mall, or parking or toll plazas, right? So one thing which ToneTag has done is that we have filed some global patents wherein we are the only company today on this planet which can make a card swiping machine, a ATM, go contactless with a software, right? Important thing is that ToneTag uses sound waves to do this handshake and communication in a very secure fashion, right? Today, as we speak, we are present in roughly 13 million consumer devices. Most of you may be having that, right? It's just that your bank has still not informed you because we're still building the critical mass on the acceptance side, right? So you can actually experience it right now at the Yes Bank kiosk, which is down there. You can actually see how this happens, as YesPay is one of our partners. So now quickly going with this. So what are we really doing, right? Why contactless payments when there were already QR code, NFC, and other options? The reason being is that when you're thinking about something like payments, it has to be highly interoperable, right? Today, a bank take any bank on this planet cannot give a contactless payment experience on an Apple phone to their consumers because Apple has locked down the NFC chip only to be used by Apple Pay, right? So a Barclays in London cannot give their customers a contactless experience if they're not working with Apple, right? And we thought there need to be something which is highly interoperable, and hence ToneTag, right? With ToneTag, Barclays can enable their customers pay contactlessly on their own terminals or a third-party terminal, right? With a customer being on Apple, Android, Samsung, whatever the phone is, right? And in India, we have even taken down to a feature phone, right? So, so that's why this contactless space was so important. So we certainly do a lot in increasing the revenue, decreasing cost, and also expanding the reach. So here is a comparison, right? So if you see, we have though only picked where we have put a cross against everybody else and check against us, because I think that's what is very critical, which they're not doing, right? So that's how it is. Yeah, this is very important also because somebody just mentioned in the last discussion what happened with the debit card fiasco. But I think, trust me, this is more about media, right? But if you see, it was just 1.3 crore. I'm using just, that's not right. But at the same time, we have to understand, right, why these leakages happens. And these happens across the globe, right? So because you are saying your customer, a bank says the customer, hey, I've given you a card, a PIN, now go and start using at third-party terminals, right, including ATMs, right? It's very easy to then somehow take that out if somebody is very dedicatedly focused in hacking the system. Can we reverse that, right? Why we have to pass the card data and PIN on a third-party terminal? Why can't I just take the terminal ID on my phone and in a secure network of my bank, I do the authentication, right, and do the transaction? That's what we are doing. So you bring your phone close, so your banking app, you bring it close, enter the amount on the ATM, that's it, nothing else, right? And ATM beeps the information on your app, you authenticate, and it dispenses the machine. The machine dispenses the cash. And we are not far from there. In India, we are working with 3 large banks, right, who are now giving this feature to their consumers. So you can use your net banking app, right, to withdraw cash from the ATMs, right? And it just goes further, right? So a card swiping machine, right? So you go, so right now where we are, by March, every second machine, right, you can eventually go and start paying, especially on the larger ecosystem. All right, so here is some of our partners, right? But very interestingly, we are currently, right, and we only talk active because we know what is happening with the consumer side app, right? So we are active at 13 million consumer devices, right? We are now building the acceptance side, right? By December, we are hoping that you will have enough acceptance point where the bank will communicate you that, hey, now you have a tone tag feature on the app which you can use to make payment. And right now, you can certainly go downstairs and experience it firsthand, right? And these are some of our advisors and core team. Thank you.
Thank you, Kumar. Next up, we have Jeeta from Tukitaki to talk about her journey.
Good afternoon, all. Just to introduce Tukitaki with what it means, in our language, it comes from Bengali. Actually, it means hide and seek. So we are trying to seek out patterns from complex data which are inherently hidden, and that's how the connotation of the name draws. Introducing myself, as I think he already introduced, I'm Jeeta, co-founder and CEO of Tukitaki. After we have, two people talking on the consumer point of view, we are completely on the, business B2B point of view, and we are dealing with a traditional segment of BFSI, trying to disrupt that segment, which is compliance and operational risk space. So before coming to what we vision, move from, we had mobile first, so for this space, move from rule-based to dynamically adaptive system. And what we mean by dynamically adaptive system, there are 3 core necessities which basically makes a system dynamically adaptive. So the 2 words, dynamic and adaptive, it draws to the point that a platform which can auto-update or auto-learn, which draws to self-learning bit. So your models, whatever you are building, needs to have that self-learning nature in them. Coming to the audit feature, I think a robust audit feature is very much essential because after all, compliance operationals, you have to explain to the regulators. So why and when is very important. Till now, it has been treated as kind of a black box. Coming to the third one, of course, you need high precision, but if we can add a little bit, how about predicting with a confidence index? So it gives the business little comfort, in when they are taking the decisions. So now, now introducing Tukitaki, our platform, proprietary platform is called Tukitaki Decision Support System, or TDSS. A little bit delve on self-learning, how we are doing it. So whenever we are building a model, let's say I'm building it with the final precision comes with between 90 to 100%, but is the entire 100% data, does the entire 100% data falls within that precision? Maybe not. So we are trying to divide the data set of the 100% data, how, each, let's say 60 over here in the diagram, if you can see, 60% of the data falls under the 90 to 100% precision in the first, when we have built the model at the first level. And it continuously improves over time, 90% is falling under that precision. So how is it happening? We apply a feature called, as we build the models, actually, we take in the feedback inaccuracies when we are predicting, and also from the fresh data points, actually. The model tries to learn, and accordingly gets better and better with time.